So it just got us more underwater. How do we stop that from occurring? Because if that trend line continues, we declare bankruptcy like Detroit.
Did it double from 1999 to 2007?
I'd have to go back and look at the actual.
But it's like that line has to change. And it's like just if just making the arc doesn't change the line, well, we're still underwater.
Well, again, I think, you know, before we get into that discussion, again, the most significant thing we could do is close the DB plan. Because the DB plan is a lot more expensive than the DC plan. And so we need to review that actuary and see what that looks like. But that's the, you know, that's the concept, is to end that liability for the DB plan. Open a DC plan, which takes a much lower contribution, and then the difference in the savings can go towards paying that closed DB.
Because like to me, what we have to come up with a plan with, or more appropriate you guys, because we get what you present, is that line has to reverse and go down.
Right.
And we need a plan to do that. And it could be over 30 years, so we can project that line out. But boy, we have to
remember that closing the DB plan and opening the DC plan, you haven't seen those figures because we don't have them. That's what the actuary's for. So, great question, and we'll know more once we get those figures.
And then the actuaries are specifically our.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's our people, our ages, our.
Yeah, it's applied to our plan.
Right. I'm just, again, I'm trying to think outside. We'll all be dead in the ground before this thing will be paid off. So I'm just thinking it would be nice to have a plan going forward. When the council, whatever reason, when they didn't fund, we were 100% funded. It was 3 years. And then we're in the position we are now, just by not making 3 years worth of payments. It's kind of, so.
It's part of it.
Mike,
Big part of it.
do you remember when we met with MERS and, you know, basically it was taking the DB plan, closing it, capping it, if you will, and getting, that's your number, and then the increase was, like, the total payment was to pay that over 23 years was 2.8 million per year.
Right.
And we were saying that we're paying 1.7 now, plus the 500,000 that we've been paying for the last 3 fiscal years. So we're paying 2.2, so really, if you cap it, move forward, where do we find an additional $600,000 a year out of the budget? Am I right on that?
But it's a lot more than that, isn't it? Because that just pays off the existing plan. Now we have to pay the people the defined contribution plan also.
Well,
and fund that.
correct.
Yes, but again, we don't know what that looks like until we have that.
No, but but the 2.2 million just pays off that cap. Now we got to come up with another 2 million or whatever it is once we get the actuarial study to pay those guys.
Well, and the thought I had, you know, and Mark and I had discussed this, is we don't have to offer anything to new employees. I mean, that's as far as we can go. I mean, that's, you know, that's taking it to the nth degree where you can do that. And it is more of a 401k type plan where you've got the employer contributes 3%, the employee contributes 3%, and that's it. Yeah, and some won't, foolishly, but some wouldn't.
Well, and if I may, to that point, we are surveying comparable communities that we compete with for employees to attract and retain employees to determine what they're offering.
Yeah.
And at what level.
I don't think we can pay or afford what we're offering right now, whether we get the employees we want or
That's the
not.
point of this, Mike.
I know, but it's like, that graph is scary.
Well, and part of that graph, though, we lost, what, $4.2 million, you know, because of the 08 and 09. So you got to remember, you know, hopefully that's not going to happen every year. I mean, I'm not trying to paper things over, but the whole idea, I mean, at Consumers Energy, we're a huge company. We don't have a pension anymore. If you're hired after 2002, you get a 401k match from the company, and that's it.
That's right.
I mean, that's the reality.
And that's why we're doing the actuarial. That's what we've tried to consider since 2010, and we weren't able to, because frankly, you know.
Right, but at least now we have the ability to do that.
Look at it.
And I didn't mean to take anything away. The people that worked here and retired here, they deserve
Yes,
something.
Absolutely.
Things change.
definitely.
We have to
Things
go with
change,
what-
but they
But-
took these jobs and they,
Of course.
with
And they
a.
expect-
But offering an elective buyout is not
Expectation,
forcing
you know.
anything down the.
That's what I would do.
And that's
Right.
where I, to
Offer
make it
somebody to
elective,
buy out.
I think it's something we should really
So,
look
Mayor,
at.
can I ask, what are we deciding right now? Are we just going over some things?
We're just having a discussion now, we're just,
So we don't know anything till the actuarial.
right, but,
Well, for the DB plan, we don't, but I mean, I'd like some direction on, things like implementing, a different health and prescription drug.
well,
plan for
and,
retirees.
right, and I guess I'll say, I think that's something that has to be done. I mean, at the MML conference up on Mackinac Island, one of the discussions from an attorney from a law firm was to say, municipalities, I'll pick 1986 as the year, or whatever, 1986, a full boat health insurance plan was $17 a month. That same health plan in 2016 is $1,900 a month. So you made promises in 1986 dollars that it's sort of that quote unquote interest. That's what we're seeing here, is the increasing, the inflation, all that sort of stuff. And I think what these attorneys have talked about, and we've looked at ours, is the flexibility. We have built into all of our contracts flexible language that basically says we will offer you something. We will provide health insurance to you. It doesn't say we will provide Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Silver Plan, whatever that is. But I think it's, it's very similar to, pick any example that you want out in private industry for that matter, but to talk to the people and, to the employees, to the retirees and say, do you want, I don't know, 80% of what you were hoping for, or do you want the potential that it all goes to hell in a handbasket and you get 0%?
Right.
Everybody's got to make that intelligent choice on their own, similar to the buyout.
Yeah, like
Similar
what
to
Don
the
was
buyout.
saying, exactly.
We're all sort of partners here, right, in this whole thing?
Well, right.
Well, one of the things, and Mark, you and the staff may already do this, but I know at my company, they have showed me, this is what it costs CMS Energy to insure you for a year. And my company's paying this much, we're asking you to pay, this other 30%. I think that would be helpful to the employees, so they understand there's a real cost, to
Yeah,
the
we
city.
periodically done a spreadsheet that shows total compensation in each component.
Yeah, I think that's
Sent
important so
that.
that people understand. The other thing I would say, I don't know what our health insurance offerings are for our active employees. At Consumers Energy, we have been pushed by the Affordable Care Act into HSAs, high deductible plans, because they're trying, now this wouldn't apply to the city because it's much smaller, we're trying to avoid the Cadillac tax, which Obamacare has. So I've had double-digit increases in my premiums the last 3 years. And that's just reality.
Well, and that's
just,
what, and I know this predates you on the council, so I'll still call you the new guy, but
Thanks. Ooh, I thought that was-
is the hard cap that we fall under now,
Mhm.
where the state requires that there are certain, you can't offer more than a certain benefit amount, you just can't do
Right.
that, and some of this that we've all got to take into consideration too, not rely on, but, in lame duck session right now, the state legislature is talking about just across the board closing all defined benefit plans throughout the state of Michigan. Legally, doing some things. And same thing with retiree health benefits. Allow us the ability to make wholesale changes without being exposed to potential lawsuits and the amount of money that it will cost to fight those lawsuits. But I think it's, it is what it is. We either gotta right the ship now or go down with the ship, really, at some point, and so I think we've really gotta.
That's the thing, okay, you get your actuary studies in, we look at buyout situations, we look at ages, we look across the board, is this possible? Where do we go with our health benefits, and this is what we're gonna offer now, folks, and you don't really wanna take away, because those people gave their years here, but, yank the rug, of course, from under them, but at the same time, this is reality, folks, this is what it is, we need to.
Right.
But it seems like we have to come up with those $700,000 extra and still probably have another $1.5 million a year
Well,
to
Wait,
contribute.
the 700 is also the savings.
Savings, right,
as well, so it's not additional money that we're paying towards it.
right.
There are a couple $100,000 savings.
But it changes our percentage of funded liability, right? By $700,000? And then we come up with like another $1.5 million.
MERS thing is driving me kind of.
Well, that's,
going back to
but that
thing, because
figure,
MERS-
that's also the healthcare side,
Right, but MERS
both
controls,
sides.
Yeah.
they control the interest that we earn, they control the
Yeah.
longevity of our people. I just think once we get to studying, like, is there a financial guru out there, certainly than me, that could take our money that we have, that could say, if you take all these cuts or these opportunities to reduce your liabilities down, and then you go out and fund like a smaller amount, buy all that out, and then we're back 100% funded. The other post-op benefits are taken care of, and all of a sudden we're making enough interest on that money that we think we can get for you, not what MERS is telling us. Like you said, what's this interest number? I mean, these things, they throw at us, and we're just, wait a minute.
Well, what's our credit rating?
Well, maybe there is, it's good.
Do we know?
Double A, I don't know, Mike, you know?
Mike? Should see you here.
It should be in there,
Should be in here.
I'm sorry, I just, after, what would we expect to pay on a bond like that for interest?
Yeah, see, the interesting thing with the bond, City of Holland did that, you know, and went from being, you know, sort of
They were 66%.
66% funded on the list, if you will, the 100, you know. They're completely off the list, but the cost to get off the list was $7.5 million.
Mhm.
So they're 100% funded, but they've agreed to take on $7.5 million more in debt.
Yeah.
But that's without, that's just funding what's there. What I'm saying is, let's get a whole, if you had a comprehensive plan to say, we're gonna eliminate half of it, because you're gonna take a buyout here, you're gonna, I'm gonna give you
Bond it and pay them, and then we're out.
instead of your, and then you're done.
Mhm.
Without, that maybe there's an opportunity to, like you said, right now, the interest rate can't be more than 2-3%.
We're double A plus. And you know what the rate would be like on, let's say, on $20 million?
What did you get on the,
Couple percent,
bonds?
3%.
Under two? Yeah.
It's under 2%.
It was 1.7 we got on
As opposed to a 7.5 point increase in cost of living or
That's
cost of
what
insurance.
That's what I keep rolling around in my head, I just can't.
One of the scariest numbers, Anthony, that you rolled out on the OPEB side, that some of these retirees will cost us $200,000 over 10 years. Why not offer them additional pension dollars per month and have them opt out of the Humana supplement plan altogether? You don't get the supplement at all, zero. Save hundreds of thousands of dollars over 10 years, even if you gave them a small increase in stipend in their pension, which they may accept, you would save a huge amount of money. Some retirees may say, okay, give me more money every month, I'll take it.
Or like-
I'm already covered on Medicare anyway.
Right, do that.
Right?
That's
It's
what
a
I'm
buyout,
saying, that
that's another version of a buyout.
Yeah, that's what we do with consumers. Once you hit Medicare, you don't get any supplement, so, yeah.
I don't know, but I know we got one of the best staffs around, and we need to think out of the box as much as possible to get this problem.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too is the ability to, you know, with new hires, one of the things that we can look at is the eligible retirement age. Or just the fact that there are, until you reach Medicare eligibility, if you choose to, it's all this personal decision. If you choose to retire at 55, that's okay. But you gotta fund your own health insurance until
10 years.
That's right.
until you get to Medicare.
Yeah, we've raised that age.
Yeah, we've raised it, but I mean, even going forward with, you know, in the future, we can do that, so.
Could I just make one comment?
If it's really, really quick.
It'll be really, really quick. The concept of bonding is a death move. Chicago, Los Angeles, some other cities have done that. It is a death move. The 60 million, I suppose now, but let's just look at the pension, the 20 million that is unfunded at this point. That is not the total amount that will cover the pensions for the people going forward. That's the amount that's necessary to bring you up to one point on the graph. So if you were to bond that, you would still have to be continuing to pour money in. And of course, then you would have the additional
Right, and then when we
cost.
have examples, there are examples throughout the state of that very same thing, where you either bonded or close your defined benefit plan and still are only 50%. So it's still making the payment, there's no doubt about that.
Mr. Mayor, what does the city of Norton Shores for employees, what is the opt-out date? Yeah, am I at 25 and out, 30 and out?
Depends on the division you're in.
Okay.
It varies depending.
So then, in regard to that, if a person came to Norton Shores and started working at 20 years old, you know, and they say 30 years, I'm at 50 years, and they want to retire, and they do, and that's their right to do that. I just retired, and of course, I had my own businesses and everything, so my funding was my own. But the day I turned 65, my wife worked, she's the West Michigan rep for Humana. So I have my Medicare person right in my home, so she signed me up. But we looked at the numbers because I was on her insurance through Humana, and the cost for me at a $6,000 a year deductible before they paid anything, and I had doctor costs and everything else. As soon as I turned 65, she wrote me this Medicare plan, and I pay $27 a month. Now, granted, as soon as I hit Medicare, the government's taking $120 out of my check.
And that's what we currently do with, when you hit 65, you lose, so if you're 55, you're getting the benefits currently that you're retired with. At 65, you get your Medicare and you get the.
Okay, so what you're doing now then is saying that gap between Medicare and when they retire, if they're at eligible age to retire, or years, or whatever the service might be, then those people have a choice to make. You still are obligated to pay that, and those prior retirees deserve that. They need to get what you told them they were going to get. But anybody in the future to say the day you choose to retire is your choice, and you lose your health care until Medicare.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
That idea of raising that age or not providing that. And there are examples throughout the state of other municipalities that have, there is no retiree health benefit. City of Muskegon, for example, there is no retiree health benefit.
I just think that collectively we need to think some new, new thinking. Let's look at some other, not
as Mike says, it's not, for various factors, recession, amortization tables change, all that sort of stuff to put us in the situation that we're in. But we can't, and as Mark has said numerous times, what we did, changes that we implemented that were very sound, very smart decisions to make 5 and 6 years ago at the time was that, and no one has a crystal ball to tell you, as Roger said, the stock market could crash tomorrow. Who knows? Nobody knows. But the idea is what we did 6 years ago made sense then. The ball has shifted, so now we've got to look at it. What is our best decision that we can make, or decisions we can make today? And we also have to know that 5 years from now or 3 years from now, we may have to. Exactly. And that's how we got here and why we're here is not so important as to how do we move away from it.
We have a lot of employees that will be retiring in the next, say, 5 years.
I think the actuaries
Eligible.
want to tell us.
Well, if they're
Yeah.
eligible.
I
don't have that information.
No, exactly. I mean, I think you've got.
Yeah, we have that information that we provided.
City of North Shores is similar to a lot of things. I mean, you've got 10,000 baby boomers a day retiring. So I think we've got many that will, in that time frame, be able to, and even when we implemented those changes, over the last couple of years, that has incented some people to, or, you know, they've looked at it and said, ooh, I'm getting out while I can, you know, so that's, and this may have the same exact effect.
All right, we'll keep pursuing these.
All right.
Be back.
Good. And then we have, don't get excited, so, we got an email, there was a fourth item added on. So it's Lake, yep, the water loop. Lake Shore Workshop Village water looping, and Jerry's gonna lead us off on that.
Well, thank you, Mayor.